GDPR was supposed to give people control of their data.
The right to erasure, the right of access, the right to object, transparency, accountability, lawful basis. All the words are there.
Wonderful words, beautiful words. Words that look excellent in a compliance slide deck next to a stock photo of a padlock.
Meanwhile, data brokers still collect, combine, package, and sell personal information at scale.
And for UK directors, that matters because public business records and commercial broker records collide in ways that create real risk.
The question isn't whether the law contains rights.
The question is whether those rights mean anything when individuals must fight the same systemic problem, one broker at a time.
Today, we talk about the regulator.
And the sound of a watchdog gently snoring in the hallway.
He's the guy with the plan for your online life. Keeps your data safe, cuts through the strife. Small biz owners, yeah, this is your guide. Cyber threats, beware, no place to hide. The small business cybersecurity guy, guarding your world with a sharp eagle eye. Tips and tricks to keep your systems tight. Stay secure, stay strong in the digital fight.
Welcome back to the Small Business Cybersecurity Guy. I'm Noel Bradford, and this is episode 3 of the Open Book Problem. Recap. In episode 1, Karine showed how public records and public platforms expose UK SMB directors. Recap. In episode 2, Moven showed how attackers turn that information into social engineering.
Today, we ask why the commercial data broker part of this ecosystem still feels so poorly controlled after years of data protection law.
Lucy Harper is with me. Lucy has the accountability brief today.
I'll keep this grounded. The aim isn't to shout that nothing has ever happened. The ICO has investigated the data broking sector. It has issued enforcement action in some cases. It has published concerns.
Good, because if we overclaim, we give them a place to hide.
Exactly. The stronger criticism is that the response hasn't matched the scale of the problem. A data broker collects information about people, combines it, enriches it, segments it, and sells access to it, or uses it for targeting.
Lovely, a people spreadsheet with a business model.
The sources vary: public registers, marketing lists, open electoral register data, commercial partnerships, online behavior, surveys, purchase data, property data, credit reference relationships, and other data sets.
And once a broker has enough pieces, a person becomes a profile.
That profile may include name, address, age band, household composition, interests, financial indicators, property information, directorships, employment signals, and marketing segments.
Which sounds less like harmless marketing and more like an attacker wish list with a polite invoice.
The industry will argue that it has lawful bases, suppression processes, compliance teams, and legitimate commercial uses. Some
of that may be true in some cases.
But a lawful basis isn't a magic phrase. It has to stand up to scrutiny. UK GDPR gives people rights: subject access, rectification, erasure, restriction, objection, portability, rights related to automated decision-making in some circumstances.
Which sounds empowering until you realise the homework has been assigned to the victim.
If your data appears in broker databases, you often have to identify the broker, contact the broker, prove identity, make the request, wait for response, challenge refusal, and repeat the process when data reappears.
That isn't a remedy, that's a part-time admin job.
The right to erasure exists. But individual rights don't automatically solve systemic data circulation.
Especially when the upstream sources keep publishing, the downstream brokers keep harvesting, and the individual has to keep sweeping the beach with a toothbrush.
That image is unpleasant, but accurate. The ICO hasn't ignored data brokers entirely. It investigated data protection compliance in the direct marketing data broking sector. It issued enforcement notices in notable cases. It has warned about transparency, fair processing, and the use of credit reference data for marketing.
So the record isn't blank.
No. The record exists. The question is whether it changed the market enough.
And from where many UK citizens and directors are standing, the answer looks like no.
People still struggle to know which organisations hold their data. Broker ecosystems remain opaque. Data flows are difficult to map. Removal is often fragmented. Reappearance remains a practical issue.
A regulator can publish findings and still fail to change behaviour at scale.
That's the core accountability question. A lot of broker processing relies on legitimate interests or similar reasoning, depending on the activity and data source.
Legitimate interests. The phrase that does more heavy lifting than a removal company in August.
Legitimate interests is a lawful basis under data protection law. It isn't automatically invalid, but it requires balancing the organisation's interest against the individual's rights and freedoms.
And that's where the rubber hits the road.
If a broker processes personal data for marketing, tracing, profiling, or enrichment, it should be able to explain what data it holds, why it holds it, where it came from, who receives it, and why the processing is fair.
And if the person is a small business director whose home identity gets linked to company exposure, the risk isn't theoretical.
Risk to individuals is part of the balancing exercise. Harassment, fraud, stalking, impersonation, and targeted social engineering should matter.
If they don't matter, then the balancing test is theatre.
Directors occupy an awkward space. Some information about them is public because corporate transparency requires it. But they remain private individuals. They may run a small firm from home. They may use personal mobile numbers. They may be identifiable in local communities.
For a FTSE board member, there may be layers. For an SMB director, the layer is often a labrador and a ring doorbell.
Not a robust control sector.
Depends on the labrador.
The point is that director exposure has safety implications. The more personal data gets joined, the more usable it becomes.
Business transparency shouldn't become personal targeting infrastructure.
Let's imagine a director wants to reduce exposure. They submit subject access requests to brokers, then erasure requests. Some respond, some ask for more identity evidence, some remove data, some suppress it. Some may say they've no data, some may not respond properly.
A delightful tour of modern rights there.
Then the director repeats the exercise with other brokers.
And then the data comes back because the source data still exists, or another dataset feeds it back in.
That's why individual rights are necessary, but not sufficient.
If thousands of people must each fight the same machine alone, the problem isn't a lack of rights, it's a lack of structural enforcement.
Regulators exist to address patterns that individuals can't realistically solve alone.
Exactly. That's the job, not the slogan, the job.
Enforcement is hard. Data broker ecosystems are complex. Organizations may operate across borders. Data sources are mixed. Some activities are lawful, some aren't. Evidence takes time.
I accept all of that.
But complexity can't become a permanent excuse.
Because criminals don't wait for a stakeholder engagement roundtable.
A stronger regulatory approach could include audits, clearer broker transparency duties, sector-wide enforcement themes, stronger action on unfair processing, and public reporting on compliance outcomes.
Not another PDF that says data protection is important. We've enough PDFs to insulate a loft.
A fire risk, surely.
Only if someone prints the ICO guidance.
First, a clearer map of the UK data broker market.
Who holds what? Where did it come from? Who buys it? How do people remove it? How often does it reappear?
Second, stronger accountability for brokers that rely on public data without meaningful transparency.
Public source doesn't mean consequence-free.
Third, practical action on repeated reprocessing after erasure or objection.
Because if removal lasts until the next data refresh, that isn't removal, that's a demo.
Fourth, better coordination between companies' house, electoral registration systems, the ICO, and consumer protection bodies.
Cyber risk doesn't respect departmental boundaries. Fraud risk doesn't either. Neither does stalking.
For listeners, start with visibility. Search for yourself, your company, your directors, and your public addresses.
Use a spreadsheet if you must. Source, data found, removal route, request date, response date, result.
Use subject access requests where needed. Use erasure or objection requests where appropriate. Keep copies.
Don't send unnecessary identity documents to random brokers without thinking. Ask why they need them. Redact where sensible.
Fix upstream sources where possible. Companies' house service addresses. Open electoral register opt-out. Domain privacy. Public profile cleanup.
Otherwise, you're removing water from the bath while the taps are still on and the plumber is writing a consultation paper.
That metaphor may be too plausible. Transparency is one of the hardest parts of data broker accountability.
Because you can't challenge what you can't see.
Many people don't know which brokers hold their information. They don't know which sources were used. They don't know who received the data. They don't know whether a removal request affects one database, one product, one partner feed, or one public listing.
So the citizen gets a right, a template letter, and a treasure hunt.
That's the friction. In theory, data protection law provides access and control. In practice, the data ecosystem is scattered, layered, and opaque.
And opacity is power. If the individual can't see the data flow, the organization controls the tempo.
The strongest enforcement wouldn't just punish isolated failures. It would force clarity into the system.
Who has the data? Where did it come from? Who gets it next? How do I stop it? Why did it return?
Those are basic questions. They shouldn't require investigative stamina.
Some listeners may be thinking this sounds like a privacy issue, not a cyber issue.
It's both.
If a data broker links a director to a home address, a company, a role, a sector, and a financial profile, that can support fraud.
If that data is combined with companies' house records, LinkedIn activity, breached credentials, and public job adverts, it can support targeted social engineering.
Data doesn't need to be secret to be dangerous. It only needs to be useful.
This is where privacy, cybersecurity, fraud prevention, and personal safety overlap.
Unfortunately, overlapping risk is where committees go to hold meetings and achieve very little.
SMBs should treat director data exposure as part of governance. It belongs in risk registers, onboarding, director reviews, and incident planning.
If your business would suffer because an attacker impersonated a director, then director exposure is a business risk.
When people complain, evidence matters.
Which means screenshots, dates, URLs, copies of forms, copies of emails, response deadlines, follow-up records.
If a broker refuses a request, record the reason. If it asks for excessive identity evidence, record that too. If the data returns later, capture the reappearance.
I know, more admin. Sorry. The privacy machine runs on making the victim do admin.
But good records help complaints land. They also help journalists, lawyers, trade bodies, and regulators see patterns.
One complaint is a grumble. 100 documented complaints become a policy problem.
That's why we shouldn't only tell people to submit requests. We should tell them to track outcomes.
If the same broker keeps reintroducing data, that matters. If many brokers rely on the same upstream source, that matters. If removal routes fail, that matters.
Here are the questions I'd put to the ICO. How many UK data broker audits have been completed since UK GDPR came into force? How many enforcement actions have targeted repeated reprocessing after erasure or objection? How many brokers have been required to explain source data lineage for public register derived records? How does the regulator assess personal safety risks for directors, sole traders, trustees, and vulnerable individuals? What proactive checks are carried out rather than waiting for individuals to complain? And how will success be measured in a way the public can understand?
That last one matters. Not pages published, not stakeholder engagement, not warm words. What changed?
Regulation should have measurable outcomes.
If the data broker market is still opaque, removal is still fragmented, and data still reappears, then the outcome isn't good enough.
We also need to be careful not to treat companies' house and data brokers as separate worlds.
Because the attacker doesn't.
A public register can be lawful and useful. a broker can still harvest, enrich, and repackage information from that register in ways that change the risk.
Context changes harm.
A director name on a company record is one thing. A director name linked to home address, household data, interests, possible age band, phone number, and marketing segments is another.
The first is transparency. The second starts to look like a shopping list for a fraudster.
Regulators need to assess the combined impact, not just the isolated legality of each source.
Because attackers exploit combinations. Regulation that only looks at compartments will always trail the threat. There's also a cultural failure here.
Go on.
We talk about data as if it's abstract. Records, fields, attributes, segments, contacts, lids. But behind those words are people. People with homes, families, businesses, routines, and vulnerabilities.
That framing matters.
If we called it a database of searchable home life and fraud context, the conversation would change.
Organizations prefer neutral language because it lowers emotional weight.
Of course they do. Nobody wants to say, we monetize your personal breadcrumbs and occasionally create a cyber risk. That's bad for the brochure.
Which is why scrutiny matters. Language can hide harm.
And in this series, we aren't letting language do that. Today wasn't an argument that no action has ever happened.
It was an argument that the action hasn't matched the harm, the opacity, or the scale.
The ICO has tools, the law has rights, the market has grown anyway.
And until structural enforcement improves, individuals remain stuck using personal remedies against systemic data circulation.
Next time, Graham joins me for the subscription scam that isn't quite a scam.
That sounds legally cautious.
It is. Delete Me and Incogni aren't scams. But the fact that people pay monthly to exercise rights they already own tells us something has gone badly wrong. Ask yourself this. If your legal rights only work when you've the time, confidence, and stamina to chase every broker yourself, who are those rights really built for?
Right. Before we let you go completely, let's have a quick chat about the boring but necessary legal bits. Don't worry, I'll make this as painless as possible. First up, and this is important, everything we've said today represents our own personal opinions and experiences. These views are ours alone and don't represent any organisation we work for, any employers, advertisers, sponsors, or anyone else who might be connected to the show. When we're giving you advice or sharing our thoughts, that's coming from us as individuals, not speaking on behalf of anyone else. Everything we've talked about today is for general guidance. It's meant to point you in the right direction, but it absolutely shouldn't be treated as professional advice tailored specifically to your business. Your situation is unique. What works brilliantly for a Birmingham bakery might be completely useless for a Manchester marketing agency. We do our very best to keep everything accurate and current, but let's be honest here. The cybersecurity world moves faster than a caffeinated squirrel being chased up a tree by Mauvin's Jack Russell. Things can change between when we record and when you're listening, so always double check critical technical details with qualified professionals before you go making major changes to your systems. If we've mentioned any websites, products or services, we're giving you information, not necessarily giving them our seal of approval. We can't be responsible for what happens on their end or if things go sideways when you use them. Some things we recommend might involve affiliate partnerships. We'll always flag those when they come up because transparency matters. Now, if you're dealing with serious cybersecurity incidents, actual data breaches, or gnarly legal compliance issues, please talk to proper professionals, rather than just relying on podcast advice. We're here to educate and help you understand the landscape, not to replace your security consultant, solicitor, or IT team. This has been a Small Business Cybersecurity Guy production. Copyright 2025, all rights reserved.
Click subscribe and join the ride. Together we'll shield the digital tide. Your business is strong when your data's secure. The Small Biz Cyber Guy, here to ensure. The small biz cyber guy says goodbye. Until next time, keep your day